offthehooksports.com, your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
If you shut off fireworks actually on the 4th, the evening of the 4th, well, good for you, because that's what I did. But if you did it in my hollow, in my area, sorry, you got dominated because I went all out.
Your hollow?
It was, yeah, your holler. Yeah.
Okay.
You ever heard that term, out in the holler? Out in the Powell holler?
I've heard out in the
Ethan
holler.
lives in the Powell holler. He's heard holler. That
But not
NASCAR.
the hollow.
I've heard of it, but I don't use it. It's part of my lexicon now.
Please go ahead and like us on YouTube, because we've got a big show on tap. Steve Wiltfong with 24/7 will join us. We'll get his thoughts on Nico Iamaleava not showing up at the Elite 11 camp, which, again, I don't think is a big deal. Also, his thoughts on recruiting news yesterday. Some guy named Francis announced his decision, so we're going to get into that. And also, we have got some nationwide news that tickled my fancy, but a lot to get to, a poll question, and also, what are you talking about? Good morning, Amanda. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Just making subtle, critical comments under our breath while we're last.
Well, talking about tickling your fancy is just awkward.
And then conference realignment as well. I'm concerned about your mindset this morning, Amanda. But we've got a lot to get to. We're going to get to the poll question. Now, it's been, 3 days since we had a daily show with July 4th. I hope everybody had a fantastic 4th. I know I did. It was fun to blow up stuff. It was fun to hang out with family. So we kind of did Father's Day at my house because my son had COVID. So it was like one big holiday weekend. And for those that fought for the independence for our country throughout time, and I'm not just talking about the founding fathers, thank you, because I'm sure there are all things that we would change. But in the end, I believe this is the best country in the world. So it wasn't the best recruiting day for Tennessee at about 3 o'clock yesterday. That changed. Ethan has it all chronicled, and I've written some stuffs on it as well. But Ethan, you had it all chronicled. You were on top of it. So Tennessee doesn't pick up Francis Mauigoa, who we had talked about. But then they pick up a highly rated 2024 guy. And I want you to kind of talk about how the day unfolded, and then I got a couple of questions for you as far as Tennessee's evolution of recruiting.
Yeah, so we all knew that obviously Francis Mauigoa, I feel like, was every Vol fan's main target, just because class of 2023 guy, top 10 prospect nationally, number 1 offensive tackle by some metrics. And it was always going to be a close race, I think. There were multiple outlets on 3, 24/7, you name it. They all had it about 30, 30, 30, and then, 10% for Florida, Alabama, Miami, US. Name whoever you want. Tennessee did have a slight edge in all of those that I saw. So I thought, if the recruiting guys are thinking it's going to be Tennessee, that might give them an edge. In the back of my mind, you always got to think Miami is on a roll right now. Obviously, we can talk about boosters if we want to, but that's just the reality of the sport that we're covering right now. So Miami, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me, and that's where he ended up choosing. And Tennessee fans, at this point, you just kind of have to move on, because there's a lot of good recruits coming, I feel like, that will commit to Tennessee. There's a lot of targets in the coming days that'll commit to Tennessee. So you just kind of got to move on and say, hey, you can't get all of them.
Yeah, and what a week for Mario Cristobal at Miami. Flipped a kid from Clemson, and they were able to flip a kid from Georgia, and he lands Francis Mauigoa. So
something's going on there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Yeah, I do think Mario Cristobal is a very, very good coach. Okay, so I wrote a column, and I'll probably go back and include this as well as reasons why, if I'm Tennessee, I'm not giving up on Francis Mauigoa. And I don't pretend to know what happened last summer, Ethan. Maybe you can update me on that. But when recruits used to commit in August or September, which is about 5 months before the old only National Signing Day in February, when you committed, that they just kept schools kept going after that kid. They just knew who to beat now. I mean, so I and Amanda and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Why are we locked in to believing any commitment is definitely going to sign with a particular school? I understand they make a public pledge, but it's not binding. I'm not stopping, if I'm Tennessee, of going after Francis Mauigoa or any of the other guys that may have committed publicly that they really want. I'm not stopping at all. I mean, we got 5 months, and look at what could happen to Miami in 5 months. We could literally, this is no exaggeration, we could hear before 5 months that two ACC teams have bolted to the SEC. As a matter of fact, I think there's a decent chance that happens within the next year. I'm going to remind Francis Mauigoa of that the ACC may be on the outside looking in. I think Miami is a team you want in a mega conference, but so is Washington and Clemson and Oregon. And there's only so many seats at the table. This all could change before Francis Mauigoa's time is up. So, Ethan, I'm not giving up. I know these summer commits are new to me, but I don't understand why you'd give up. You still have his phone number. I'd keep calling.
He likely won't answer unless something happens to Miami. I think you brought up a really good point there. I don't think Tennessee will be able to do anything, especially with boosters NIL. I really don't want to get into that on Miami's side, but unless something like that happens, Tennessee is not going to be able to say, hey, I think we're the better school here. We're the better situation for you. If something happens to Miami, I mean, absolutely, because as of right now, there's no reason to believe that Tennessee isn't his choice number two. Could be Alabama, could be USC, but Tennessee has to act like, hey, if something happens to Miami here, we should swoop in and see if we can get something. And you're right on that front, but do I think Tennessee will be able to, I guess, lure him away from Miami and likely a lot of money and a good program that Cristobal is building over there? I don't think they'll be able to do that unless something happens.
Amanda, the problem is Miami's just the dilapidated athletic department that has not taken advantage of its history. The kids have to drive 45 minutes to go to home games. The athletic department is not good. Mario Cristobal, I think, is good. However, I might drop this into a casual conversation if I'm Tennessee or one of the Southern California. I might say, that I hear that Alabama really likes that Cristobal guy. What happens if Nick Saban retires? I just think there are all kinds of holes you can poke in this. And I think you're going to continue to have conversations with them. And the other thing is, Amanda, you got Nico who can feed him this sort of content, and it sounds very organic. I'm just not giving up. I'm nowhere close. I don't understand the mindset. Yeah, I used to cover kids who would commit in the first week of December and then flip before signing day in February. I mean, that happens a lot. At least it did. I don't know if something's changed incredibly. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, it happens all the time. We just saw yesterday a kid committed to Georgia. He flipped yesterday and committed to Alabama. I mean, it happens all the time. If you go back in, even recent history, you can see how many kids commit and flip. They end up flipping. And then the transfer portal. So you really don't know where these kids are going to end up. I mean, they could commit, they could sign, they could go, they could transfer. I mean, immediately. So if one thing goes wrong, they're out. But with Miami and the NCAA, they're investigating Miami right now. They started June 15th, started investigating Miami or having inquiries about them. So I think that says something, considering we've all talked about how the NCAA has really sat on its hands during this whole time.
Yeah, and the ACC is about to get crazy. I was talking to a source over the weekend. This conference realignment thing is not done because right now you do have the Big Ten. I had hoped last week when the three of us last spoke that the Big Ten and the SEC would sit down at the big boy table and put together a mega conference. That was my hope. Amanda didn't like it. Ethan, I can't remember if you liked it or not. But I mean, that was my hope. But they're not going to. Don't worry about that because they don't like each other, and that's not going to happen from what I've been told. Instead, it's which teams can pluck the teams that are out there that want to make sure they get a seat at the table. And we're going to go through some of those and get your thoughts. Our news and notes in the beginning brought to you by the Mattress Place, 22 years in Chapman Highway, Marine Corps veteran owned, A+ accredited member of the Better Business Bureau, over 225 5-star reviews on Google. They're just awesome. 5,000 square foot showroom, and you get 30 to 70% off every day. That's no gimmick. I remind you, if you're listening on YouTube, please hit subscribe and like. So just a couple of other quick notes that I wanted to go through, guys, before we get into this conference realignment, because I know Amanda has some strong thoughts. I'm not sure of Ethan's thoughts, but I definitely want to get that. And also, though, let me run through some just quick notes real quick, and we'll get to the poll question. And that is, Brittany Griner is now asking the president or whoever can help to get out of Russia. This is one of those stories. I don't know if I think it's a national story. I don't know if it's a regional story or it's especially not a Tennessee story, but this just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just going to be honest with you. The fact that we can't get her back, and that's why I include it more times than I probably should, but I'm not going to get political, but it's time to get her back. There's no way in goodness creation that you should be held in a foreign country for possibly 10 years for having cannabis. I mean,
No, she's not a priority. Like, we can tell that. She's not
Yeah.
a priority. I don't think her name is big enough to be a priority.
if this is Michael Jordan, is he back like the next day, Ethan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
day,
mean,
all day long. I was just about to say, Michael Jordan,
Yes.
LeBron James. I mean, throw in a pretty decent amount of people. I feel like, heck, Marcus Smart. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that you get caught with that kind of stuff that are going to bring you back immediately. Brittany Griner. I mean, there's a lot of people that just don't know that name. That watch sports and don't know that name.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. All right. Let's get to conference realignment before we get to the poll question. The Pac-12 took a huge hit recently. As we know, Southern California and UCLA announced that they were leaving the conference. The Big Ten started in 2024. Now, other Pac-12 schools are taking a long, hard look at their futures, deciding where they want to leave. If they want to leave the Big 12 or not. According to reports, 4 current Pac-12 schools, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State, will meet with the Big 12 on Tuesday. I'm sorry. The Big 12 in its current state, Amanda, or the Big 12 with those 4 teams is not even in the same atmosphere, universe as what the Big 10 and SEC is now, even with those teams.
Well, I mean, at least it's still alive. You know, like the poll question was which conference do you think is going to pretty much die out? And it's the Pac-12. That's what everybody voted on. Not everybody, but it's a pretty good majority. And that's what we're seeing. The Pac-12's dying. I mean, fast. And I mean, Oregon's going to take off. I think, who was it? Oregon and somebody else out of the Pac-12. Washington are in talks with the Big Ten, but they were waiting on what Notre Dame's doing, I guess. I think it's only smart for them to join the Big Ten. Notre Dame should join the ACC because that's where they are and everything else. So you'll have 4 major conferences, and I think that's where it draws the line. I think the Pac-12 just gets pushed out and dissolved.
So what I was told by a source over the weekend is Notre Dame's Notre Dame. That is like a whole different level than the other schools I'm going to mention to you because of the history, all that they have. So that's a brand that's far better than the ones I'm going to tell you. But Clemson, Florida State, possibly Miami are in play for the SEC to make a run at. The one that I was told that more people want than you may think, and you may be surprised, is North Carolina. That there's reason to want Carolina if you're the SEC or the Big Ten. So now suddenly you're wanted. It's like me when I was dating before I got married. There were always 2 or 3 girls that really wanted to date me, and I was like, I've got to pick one. I can't keep playing both of you. It wouldn't be right.
God
So
bless Shanda. God bless her.
North Carolina is that coveted person, like I was. Yeah, sure. So, but Ethan, I think North Carolina is super cool, and I think that would be a great pickup for the SEC. It wouldn't be my first pick. My first pick would be Clemson, Florida State. But if you went the North Carolina route, here's why I like that. Okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there. I think Ethan will like it. I think Amanda will hate it. If I'm the SEC, I'm taking not 2, but 4 teams. I'm taking Clemson and Florida State because they just seem natural, right? I mean, it just does. And you get that Tallahassee market. What a television market that is. But the other 2 that I would get is I would go North Carolina. Now, this one's out of left field.
No, it's not.
It is. I
It's
bet
Duke.
you can't guess what I would take Duke.
You have
Like
to.
that.
If you take North Carolina, you have to take Duke.
You have to
I
take
know,
Duke.
but the guy I talked to said that he hadn't heard anything along the Duke lines. He said, but that's really interesting. I said, you think about it. You may take a team that's not great in football and may never be because of the academic standards, but they got to 9 wins, I think, under Cutcliffe, nevertheless. So you take a team that is not great at football, but then every January when Duke and North Carolina play, that's an SEC event, kids. When they play the second time, that's an SEC event. When they play in the ACC tournament, that's an SEC event, or the SEC tournament, excuse me.
Yeah,
when they would play,
I
mean, you would roll into Atlanta, okay, with Kentucky for the SEC tournament that I think is nothing but a money grab and very, very lame. You would have Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, a Bruce Pearl team in Auburn that's obviously very good, a Tennessee team in Rick Barnes that is very good. You're suddenly the best basketball conference in the nation, or close. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ethan's a college basketball hoops
I would say the SEC is already, but
okay. So you're even like crazy dominant then. I really like that idea. The guy I talked to said he hadn't heard that at all. Said they're all thinking football, and it probably won't happen. But it popped into my mind. Do you guys love or hate the idea?
I'll walk it back just a little bit. The SEC definitely would be. There wouldn't be a close second place because you'd be adding Duke and North Carolina to an already top 2. I mean, the Big 10 and Big 12 are good, I guess, but I feel like the SEC top to bottom has a lot more teams. I don't know. That's hard to say. But between the Big 10, 12, and SEC, there's a lot of really good talent there. So I guess you can throw that up, and I won't have a strong opinion on it. But I'm going to be honest. I kind of hate the idea just because I don't want Duke and North Carolina in the SEC. It's a solid idea. Could happen. I could see it happening. Me personally, I hate it because I mean, Duke and North Carolina, that's ACC. That. I mean, I get at some point conference realignment is probably going to become a thing. That's even more disgusting than UCLA and USC to the Big Ten to me. That's awful. I mean, Duke and North Carolina being SEC schools, always being in the SEC tournament. I mean, Kentucky's going to be kicked out of their own conference. I mean, they're going to be the number 3 school all time in their own conference, and they're not going to like that. I feel like a lot of SEC fans would hate that if that happened.
And it's probably not, because with the Duke thing, the people in charge are not thinking about basketball. They're not thinking about crew. They're not thinking about anything else, Amanda. except for football. I think both groups are being incredibly smart. Well, let me take that back. Let me walk that back.
I
I
would
think
say
the
in
SEC.
this case, sorry to cut you off. I would say in this
Yeah.
case, Duke, North Carolina, that almost equals football. That's the biggest rivalry in the U.S. Duke, North Carolina, maybe
Oh
behind the
yeah.
Bears Packers. So, I mean,
But
you get that rivalry in the SEC. I feel like that would be a playing point for them that could rival football in that one instance.
in college sports, in my mind, Amanda, that's the second biggest rivalry, and I could argue the first. It's right there, nip and tuck with the Iron Bowl. To me, those are the two biggest rivalries in college athletics. Flip a coin.
I would say those two or Michigan, Ohio State. I think it's pretty big.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like Duke, North Carolina, the SEC. If we're gonna have to do it, the SEC can't pick up just two more teams because it would be uneven. It would be 9-9. So I don't feel like
it should be at 18. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it would have to pick up 4, I feel like, to be really solid, and we would have to stop there. But if you're gonna pick up 2 more teams and you're gonna take from the ACC, I see taking Florida State. I don't know if I see taking Clemson. Because they're only recently good. They're only recently, like in the last decade, have been good. I see taking Florida State, possibly Miami, and then I would take Duke and North Carolina. Those would be my 4 I'd pick from the ACC.
Wow, Amanda and I agree. That's crazy. What's not crazy is going to Big Orange Phillies. They know that it's tough to get out of the office for a long lunch, so they're good at getting you quality food fast. You can grab something cold from the fridge or order hot from the counter. And they've got darts, billiards, live entertainment, karaoke, fresh ingredients. They are awesome. So you need to check out Big Orange Phillies. Again, Big Orange Phillies is right there in downtown Halls. It's easy to get to from everywhere in North Knoxville or Maynardville. It's a good family environment. You'll have a good time. So what was our poll question from way back on Friday? I've slept several times since then.
It was the divisions. It was the conferences. Who do we eliminate?
Oh, okay. So we'll phrase it exactly because I can't remember.
I gotta find it.
We tweet too much on the Twitter. We got too much content.
It's way back there. Yeah, that's a good way to spin it. There's way too much content. Maybe
that's
not
exactly
way too
right.
much. There's exactly enough content.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a perfect amount. If that's not at least 15 listings back on our Twitter feed, then we've done something wrong. But I believe probably is. All right, what do you got?
Got it here. So, which conference is in the most danger in the coming years with realignment? And we said ACC, Big 12, Pac-12. ACC with 12% of the vote, Big 12 29, and then Pac-12 had 58% of the vote, which is the right choice. That is definitely the right answer.
Yeah. Any issues with those numbers?
I think Pac-12 should have been higher, to be honest with you. I think ACC is the one that's probably the most safe. If I had to say, I wouldn't go 12% for them. But
I guess we're really, as we rephrase this question a little bit, relegated to what? I mean, there might still be an ACC. Oh, just complete non-existence?
Yeah.
Okay, complete non-existence. You're going to think I'm crazy.
It's got to be the Pac-12.
You're going to think I'm crazy, but after the guy I talked to over the weekend, I think ACC.
Man.
I mean, I know that sounds insane, but the Pac-12 to me can cobble some stuff together and still have some West Coast following, maybe.
Who are they cobbling together, though?
Yeah.
The Big 12's about to take 4 of their teams. Big 10's about to take 2 of them. Like, where?
I don't know. I mean, do you start to take Pepperdine's of the world? I mean, I don't know. I'm really not sure. I just think that when you have the whole west side of the United States, that surely together you can cobble some sort of television group together, or a group of guys that want to play football with each other. Surely.
So you got 8 teams leaving.
Yeah, the Big 12 already took BYU and Houston and all those guys.
Yeah.
So
So
what do
you
we?
at the
If
moment
those
have the
four
Pac
teams
4.
leave, where are we? The Pac 4?
Something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
No,
So the Pac
it's
4.
depending on Oregon and Washington
That
going to the Big
reminds me of
Ten.
that reminds me of the Tennessee Thundercats. Amanda, are you old enough to remember the Tennessee Thundercats?
I don't know what that is.
That was an indoor football team that I was the voice of the Tennessee Thundercats. So yes, that's on my resume. But there were 4 teams in it. So it's like you got to know the other teams really well because there were only 4 teams in the league. It was Omaha, Trenton, New Jersey, and St. Louis. So it consisted of either hosting one of those teams or going to one of those places. And if you've never been to Trenton, New Jersey, then don't go to Trenton, New Jersey. It's terrible. You know what you need in Trenton? You need some CBD treats from Chill Pills. You can click on the link provided and make your wallet and pet happy with 15% off. Great for situational anxiety like storm anxiety, car ride anxiety, mortar anxiety, actually, which my animals, they definitely were dog sitting as well. They definitely had some anxiety. We just absolutely juiced them up with the chill pills, and they were better, but they still didn't like the mortars going on outside of the house. That was not their favorite thing. So what are we thinking poll question for today, Ethan? What have you got cooking?
It was going to be off of Maui Goa and Eccles. Just with the weekend, do you think it was a successful weekend? Do Vols fans think that between the 2 commitments, only getting one of them was successful or not? Especially considering that he's a 2024 prospect.
Are we counting the kid who? Are we counting Friday?
Was Weathersby on Friday?
Weathersby was Friday.
Yes, I'll put him on there too.
Okay,
because that's a good pickup. That's Weathersby's a good pickup.
How about is there a way we could do how would you rate the weekend? Like
we could do like A, B, C, D, F.
Yeah, I mean I think it'd be crazy to say.
We missed E.
What do you mean?
The grading scale.
Did
you get an E in high school?
What?
Did you get an E in high school? I've never heard of that.
It's a grading system. It's A, B, C.
I thought we were doing options like
okay.
A, B, C, D, E.
Makes sense.
Amanda got a lot of E for efforts.
Excellence. It's excellence. I'm sorry that you didn't get that in high school.
Sorry, I never did get that. So okay, so set it up again. We're going to go ahead and post that on the Twitter.
Yeah, it's how would you rate Tennessee's weekend on the recruiting trail, and then I'm going to put in parentheses Weathersby, Maui Goa, Eccles.
Okay.
So how'd you grade it?
How would you? I said rate, but we could do grade. That makes more sense.
Yeah, because that's why I was confused. I was like, I don't know what that
Was
means.
Weathersby definitely Friday?
Yes, because you were busting your hump on Friday evening. I remember. Yeah, I'll double check, but there's really no doubt in my mind.
I think he was too. I just
you were all over him on Friday night. Great job. I think it's well, we don't have B+ on there, do we? I mean, so if you ask me just off the top, I'd go B+.
It was Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I would go B+ based off getting a highly rated edge pass rusher for 2024, and then Weathersby. And let's face it, it's like Aaron Judge. When he steps to the plate, he's swinging for the fences with Maui Goa, but there's a darn good chance he could strike out too. So I'd take those not with a grain of salt, but I'd take those in stride. You just get in the battle for 10, 12 of those guys. You pick up 3 or 4. Tennessee was in the battle. So I would go, even though it's not an option, I would go actually B+. Amanda, what would you grade the past weekend in Tennessee?
I mean, I know that the loss of Francis is not ideal to some people, but then again, you have to wait and see what happens with Miami and the NCAA, and you have to wait and see about conference realignment and all this stuff. So I would say probably a B. I'd go with a B, maybe not a B plus, but a B.
What about you, Ethan? Where do you fall on this poll question today?
I'm in the same boat. I would go with B just because I almost would go B minus if I had to do anything because Eccles, fantastic commit. I mean, top 30 guy. I've already said it before here. You got to get him to campus. He's still 2 years away. They can't even call him until September 1st. Coaches can't. So, I mean, Eccles, great pickup. Obviously, great talent, but there's a lot of things, a lot of variables that could happen between now and 2024 season. But I mean, if he stays, it's an A plus because Eccles is a fantastic prospect.
Yeah, I agree. Let's kind of base this off of. I guess the best way to put it is that we do believe the guys are going to stick and not go elsewhere because we could get caught up into Francis could end up coming back to Tennessee and that sort of thing. So let's stick with they're going where they're going. But I think it's a B to B plus. I think Tennessee. With a significant pickup. And I want to remind you to hit like and subscribe. We would love that if you did that so that you'll get sneak peek notifications already, a couple of breakdowns of Tennessee football with the one, the only Chris Landry that is on there, LandryFootball.com. So, guys, on July the 4th, thumbs up, thumbs down to the hot dog eating contest.
Everyone is going to hate me for this take. I think it is so overrated.
Oh, it's gross. I like
I can't watch it. I don't know why. It gives me just a weird feeling. I can't watch it.
It makes me want to vomit. So I understand. But the chokehold is what makes this good.
Okay, the chokehold was cool, and I mean,
you
got to respect
chokehold. What was the chokehold? I don't know what you're talking about.
Amanda, go for it.
Oh my gosh, you didn't see the chokehold?
Yeah,
I didn't see the chokehold.
So someone tried to come up and protest something, and I don't even know what it said. I have no idea what it meant, but they tried to protest, and Joey Chestnut came eating his hot dogs in the middle of it. Got this guy around, choked him out, slammed him, finished eating his hot dogs, and still won the thing.
Okay, well, that sounds a little WWE to me.
It was great. It was great. And it was not fake looking. It was not fake looking.
Amanda, the ultimate consumer. What was better? Chris Rock getting slapped or Joey Chestnut with a mouthful of hot dogs defending his honor or whatever?
The Chris Rock thing was I don't even care what anybody says. That was staged. That was stupid. That was the dumbest thing. Now the chokehold, that was fantastic because that was real life happenings. And Joey Chestnut not only takes him out, slams him, he also wins the thing. I mean, he wins the thing. It's crazy.
That's the one thing I kind of like about it is you gotta tip your hat to Chestnut because that dude, I don't care. Winning 15 of anything in 15 times of anything is incredible. So I don't care if it's hot dog eating, if it's throwing a piece of paper into a trash can. I really don't care. Winning 15 times at a specific venue is pretty good.
We're basically saying he's the Babe Ruth of competitive eating. Something tells me that Babe Ruth could hang with Joey Chestnut in competitive eating. If you threw in, you had to smoke a pack of cigarettes.
I have to ask this question real fast because it's absolutely incredible. Hunter Renfrow yesterday on Twitter, Raiders wide receiver, he asked, he said, so Usain Bolt and Joey Chestnut are racing. Both have to finish a hot dog and then they can start running. Who wins in a 100 meter dash? Who wins?
I'm giving it to Joey Chestnut.
It's got to be Chestnut. I mean, like Chestnut can eat a hot dog, and I mean, I don't know how many seconds it takes me, a normal person like Usain Bolt, a normal person in the hot dog eating realm, anyway. I mean, at least 45 to a minute, right? Seconds.
Yeah.
It has to be, and so Chestnut will be cross the line easy. I don't even think it'll be close.
Yeah.
What about have you heard of the beer mile? It's 4 laps around an average track to run a mile. So you have to chug a beer, run a lap, and chug a beer, run a lap, chug a beer, run a lap, and then chug a beer, run a lap. So anyway, you end up drinking 4 beers, you do 4 laps, which is a mile. And man, these dudes get serious about it. And like the record is not as bad as it sounds like the worst 2 combinations possible. But the record's like in 7 minutes. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
There's no way it's 7 minutes. That's not even that's not even.
You Google. I'm going to tell you about Ray Vols Automotive Group right there on Callahan. Ray Vols Automotive Group. It is their mission to be the automotive home of drivers in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. They provide a vast selection of used vehicles, exceptional car care, and service with a smile. They've got the selection, they've got the auto financing, and they've got the service department to absolutely keep you going. Car service and repair work that is fair. Amanda is Googling what's the fastest someone has run the beer mile in. We will discuss that after this. She is surprised if you're watching on YouTube, so she's excited. Back in 2 minutes.
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, where Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassey Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassey, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassey's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassey Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
All right, coming back. So we asked Amanda the fastest beer mile that's ever been run. So she had an assignment. She was going to Google. You have to drink a beer, run a lap, drink a beer, run a lap, drink a beer, run a lap, drink a beer, run a lap. So it's a mile and it's 4 beers, which just, Ethan, for the record, is that way cooler than the hot dog eating competition on July the 4th?
I mean, it's a hard question. I feel like they're pretty different. Is it cooler? Probably not. You look like an idiot while doing it. You have to. I guess you do in both of them. But I'd say it's way more impressive to be Joey Chestnut in that case, because I feel like any high school / college student that lost a bet can do the beer mile.
Oh, but I'm talking about being a world champion.
Oh, being the champion about. No, I'm still gonna give it to Chestnut.
Fair enough. All right.
I don't respect. I don't like it, but I respect it. Chestnut.
Amanda, what's the longest?
Okay, so the longest or the shortest?
Well, the shortest.
Okay.
I don't know why.
So the world record for running a mile as a man is 3 minutes and 43 seconds, which is insane to me.
Beer mile.
I know. I'm telling you this just for give me a minute.
It's a big backdrop.
Yes. This guy.
You're going to get into the Rochester Bannister thing? No,
This
he was
guy
the
in
hype,
2018, I'm done with you, ran the Beer Mile World Classic in 4 minutes and 24 seconds.
Holy!
However, he got disqualified because he did not consume enough beer.
Well, you know what he should have had is Zool Beer. Zool Beer Company is right there downtown in Knoxville. No disqualification would have happened had he had one of the fantastic beers there. And they've even got beer ice cream, Amanda.
Yes, it is fantastic. It is really, really good. It's the Tangerine Mafioso, which is one of our sour beers. And we turned it into ice cream, and it is fantastic. And it's wonderful when it's really, really hot outside and you just want to cool down. It will like freeze your tongue. It's great.
Sounds like good stuff. I'm down with that.
Yes,
All right.
it is.
So we've got Steve Wiltfong coming up at Go Vols 24/7 Sports. And I did want to talk to him about Maui Goa's decision. He's very familiar with the Muleva. So I want to visit with him about the recruitment that's ongoing there. I do find it funny, though, guys, we talked about all of Nico's recruitment of Francis, Ethan. In the end, the kid that just committed to Miami was doing the same thing. There's probably a kid at Hawaii doing the same thing. There was probably a kid at Southern Cal doing the same thing. We kind of look at it through our own lens, but I'm sure there was a Nico, maybe not as highly recruited, out there recruiting him at every single school.
Yeah, you're right. There is. It's easy to say, hey, Tennessee's got this big top 5 prospect and Nico. Everyone's gonna want to come and play with him. I mean, people are gonna want to go to Texas and play with Arch Manning too. You can say that about anybody.
Well, we talked to Mike Farrell, and this is not a shot at Nico or Tennessee's program or anything, but we talked to Mike Farrell, and he said the impact of a Manning, just the name committing, has a big effect, and he's been right. There were like 2 commitments for Texas before. He said that on our show last week, and then there's been 2 more. So, yeah, there's that Manning name in football circles. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of out there as a thing. All right. This day in sports history, we're going to add some clips to this in the future, which is going to be a lot of fun. But this day in sports history, you guys both had a couple. So let me start with Ethan before we get to Steve Wiltfong at 24/7. This day in sports history is brought to you by Midnight Oil. Midnight Oil is right there in Ottawa. I'm taking my son's car today to get an oil change. Why? Because I trust Steve Ray at Steve Ray's Midnight Oil. And I get to go next door to Alice Nest Barbecue and check out the wood pellets, check out all the good sauces and the rubs that they have. So, Ethan, this day in sports history, what do you got?
The most interesting one I found was in 2008, Venus Williams defending her title against her younger sister, Serena, in Wimbledon. I thought that was very interesting.
Hey, have you seen, speaking of Chris Rock getting slapped, have you seen the King, I believe it is? I think that's the name of it. It's the one that Will Smith actually won the Academy Award on. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be Venus and Serena's dad, King Richard.
Oh yeah.
So he plays. It is like the best sports movie I've seen in over 10 years, easily. I mean, it is really cool because it's honest. They didn't soft pedal it. He wasn't the best father in the world, but he wasn't the worst. And there was all kinds of inner city pressure where they worked on for his kids just to be hoodlums, basically. And he had them going to the tennis court till dark, and to the point where gangs would beat him up on a regular basis because that's where they locked down. It is just, and that's just the beginning. And then he reveals that midway through, he knew that Venus would be the one that would go out and be the superstar first, and that she would catch a lot of the hate because she didn't look like the average tennis player. And he tells, I just gave it all away. It's like the closing scene. He tells Serena, he goes, I had this planned all along. You're going to be the great one. And she's like 13. And it is just, I mean, it literally, he deserved the Oscar. I thought I was watching it just because Chris Rock hit him. But it is a phenomenal watch. Just gave all of it away. Amanda, did you have any of this day in sports history that you want to add to the fold, so to speak?
I didn't. I did not look into this day in sports history.
Oh, we had the World's Fair in St. Louis that was a part of the Olympic Games. Oh, it was the very first U.S. Olympic Games. It was in the St. Louis Fair.
Was
And
that 1904?
1904.
I know about it because I watched a video about how it was a absolute disaster.
You guys don't even remember the fact that Knoxville had a World's Fair. You do remember that, right?
1982.
Yeah, I knew that. I don't
yeah,
remember
we
it, but
all
I
knew
knew
that.
It
I was not born.
It was a little bit bizarre. Well, that's your fault. But it was we got season passes, and they had the big Rubik's Cube and all that stuff. So, yeah. So those younger ones that listening digitally, Knoxville had a World's Fair. And the best part was The Simpsons. Actually, if you remember this, The Simpsons episode where they traveled to Knoxville to find out what was in the Sun Sphere, and it turned out just to be a wig factory.
Is it just a box?
I can't write that. That's Dana Gould, not me. Okay, that's too good for me. They knocked down the. Have you not seen this one? This episode?
I don't watch.
Yeah, they knocked down the sun. Ethan, homework. Take 30 minutes and Google this thing. So so they knock it down, and the Sun Sphere is just a big wig factory on The Simpsons. I can't believe you all haven't seen that.
No.
Okay, before we get to Steve Wiltfong, nice piece on Saturday Down South with Neil Blackman, the explosive players for every SEC team. Let's get your thoughts. And actually, let's do that just here in a second. Let's go to our very special guest. Steve Wiltfong joins us now. He's dialing in his video, or it may just be audio. Are we audio and video today, Steve, or are we all the above?
Oh.
As of now, I don't think we're either. Hey, Steve, I think we got you drawn in here. So if you want to click on your phone button, there's a good chance that you're muted. We don't have your video at this point, so I don't know if he was going to be in front of my camera or not, but we will visit with him. He was at the Elite 11 camp last week, which I believe was in LA. So we'll get with Steve here very shortly. And Steve, just give us a shot here. I think it's not letting me click camera or mic. I tell you what, Steve, if you can, let's try this. Let me get you to log back in, and let's see what happens here when we get him back on. So the most explosive players per team in the SEC, according to Saturday Down South. I did want to get through this anyway, so we might just kind of boy this around, Steve. But Bryce Young at Alabama, most explosive players, I would agree, just because Will Anderson at defensive tackle is as good against the run as he is against the pass. So he's not an LT guy that's just go after the quarterback, a Derek Thomas guy. So if you use the term most explosive, I would take Bryce Young, but I'm very close to going to Will Anderson, Amanda.
I would go Will Anderson. I know Bryce Young is explosive. He's a Heisman-winning quarterback. We get it. He's an Alabama's quarterback. You know, he's one of the best, if not the best in the game at the moment. But I would go Will Anderson because he is just an electrifying player. Like, he is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of guy.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's the best since Derek Thomas at Alabama. At Arkansas, Jalen Catalon. If you guys want to weigh in, feel free. At Auburn, Derek Hall, defensive end. He is the second best defensive end in the state of Alabama. So let's try to see if we can bring Steve back in here. Derek Hall, because we've heard so much about Will Anderson, he is overlooked in the SEC West, but Derek Hall, very good. Steve, do we have you now? I think we might have you now. think we're still having trouble with Steve. So he's trying to get his camera to work. So, Steve, you should be able to click on that camera and microphone to your bottom left next to the private chat. I apologize that you're having issues, but yeah, it should be right there. So, and then we talk about other impact players at Florida. You have Anthony Richardson, who would be one of the most explosive players. No argument with that. And Georgia, Brock Bowers, probably a good sign when you're talking about a tight end, Amanda, that you're a most explosive player on your team. That tells you something about Georgia offensively.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be excited if you're talking about a tight end, because tight ends are they're not normally in the college game that big of a deal, but you can see in the NFL how they turn into a big deal, especially if you play fantasy football. I always try to take a tight end in the second round. And the reason being is because there are tons of running backs, there are tons of wide receivers, tons of them. But tight ends, there's like 3 or 4 that are good in the NFL, and that's it. And you have to fill that position on your roster. You have to. So I go tight end second round. It seems insane, but it works out every time.
Steve, we'll get you back on. I'm not sure why we're having a connection issue, but we'll definitely do that. Ethan, is it true that the most exciting thing for every person to talk about is their fantasy team, and the worst thing to hear about is somebody else's fantasy team?
Oh, shut up.
That's fair. I'd say that's fair.
Don't you hate it when somebody corners you and says, should I start this guy or that guy or this guy? That's what Amanda just did.
I almost don't. I kind of enjoy it. If the same person makes it a thing, if you're going into work and the same person is just every week, it's like, dude, this is your thing. I don't know. You can ask me once or twice if it's really a pickle, but my man, leave me alone. Do your own work. I got my own to worry about here.
See, I just gave away a fantasy football secret. I didn't ask your opinion.
Yeah, the way Amanda just did it is fine.
Thank you.
I glazed over. So Tavian Robinson at Kentucky is the most explosive player for the Cats, according to this list. Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver at LSU, is the most explosive for the Tigers. Mississippi State, Will Rogers, quarterback, we'll see. Missouri, Luther Burden, wide receiver. Ole Miss, Zach Evans, running back, and
should be Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss.
That's fair. South Carolina is Josh Vann at wide receiver. Tennessee, they picked Cedric Tillman, and I get the point, but it's probably Hendon Hooker, or if you want to go Josh Heupel, I mean, he's calling the offense. If you want to go that far,
I don't hate it being Tillman, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't either.
Hooker's fantastic. He's obviously 1B if you can have one. Oh yeah, not you. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, Tillman, what he did last season it's just incredible, and there's no reason to think he won't take another step forward this season. And he's part of the reason I feel like Hooker is as electric as he is.
All right, I want to get an update on that poll question. I want to remind you the Vassy Lawn and Garden is right there in Cleveland. So at Vassy Lawn and Garden, man alive, it's worth the drive. Whether or not you're in Chattanooga or West Knoxville, you're going to save money on fantastic Toro products and 20,000 parts in stock for service. Toro, count on it. They do financing as well, 0% APR for up to 48 months and 3.99% for 60 months. That is Toro, count on it. So where did we land with the poll question, and where are we now, sir?
Yeah, we got a lot of votes on this one already. It's only been up 25 minutes. Right now, the consensus is that it's a B. 56% say it's a B. A is second with 28.1%. So people, I would guess you could say B plus if we're going to look at it that way. Only 6% said that Tennessee failed this weekend.
Yeah, well, I did have somebody reach out to me on the YouTube, guys, that said, no, it was Twitter. I'm sorry. It said you're being a little bit too defensive of them by just getting these 3 stars. I'll leave you with this. Again, please subscribe, and like so that this video shows up on your feed more often. Guys, this is where Tennessee is. Okay? Let's all have a cup of coffee. Okay? No decaf. And let's all say to ourselves that this is absolutely where Tennessee is. Tennessee has to identify the 4-star guy in the 2024 class and be ahead of the game on him and probably offer him early. They have to take the 3-star guy that's a better fit for them, that probably is too small to play for Alabama. They have to take shots at the 5-star guy like Francis Mauigoa. You're not going to pass on him. You got a connection there. But odds are, Amanda, I think you said it yesterday, 30%. Odds are you're not going to get him. Guys, that's where Tennessee is as a recruiting program. And it's natural. There is nothing wrong with it. So people sometimes, Amanda, think I'm defending Josh Heupel. I think, I'm pretty objective. But you're not going to roll in and start plucking guys that everybody else in the nation wants. And with all fairness to Nico, most schools would have taken Arch Manning over him. I'm not knocking Nico. But, Amanda, that's just simply where Tennessee is. They have to fill in the cracks as best they can because they're not going to step up and go toe-to-toe with Georgia and Alabama and win those battles a lot.
I just don't understand the whole hype about getting the 5-star guy, because a lot of times they don't play out to be 5-star guys. They don't go to the NFL. 54%, if I'm not mistaken, of the All-American team last year, or the 2021 All-American first team, 54% were 3 stars. They were 3 stars. They weren't 5 stars. They weren't 4 stars. They were 3 stars. So I don't understand I don't think that people that do the star, whatever, and I'm not knocking anybody that does it. I'm pretty sure they do their homework and they look at the stats, not yada, yada, yada. But I don't see them getting it right all the time, not even half the time.
No, and Ethan, you don't know the kid either. The kid might show up and want to work. He might not.
Yeah.
And I mean, to back up Amanda's point also, there's just a lot more 3 stars than there are 5. There are not a lot of 5 stars. I don't know if you guys know that. There's like 50, and that might be being generous. I think there might even be less than that. 5 stars are a rare commodity. So
there's like 35 or something. But
yeah, they're a rare commodity to be a 5-star. So for Tennessee to even have one on the roster and have one other considering, and then already have one locked up for the 2024 class, I mean, Tennessee's ahead of the curve right now. Heupel is. So people complaining about just getting 3 stars, not to mention if you really want to go into star rankings, Weathersby is a top 3 prospect. Top 3-star prospect heading into 4. He's a fringe 4-star prospect right now. And he's probably only going to get better in his final senior season. He might move up to a 4-star. As of right now, these 2023 guys that are 3 stars, just because they're 3 stars does not mean that they're not going to do something big, or that they don't have the capability to just move up and be a 4-star by the time 2023 comes around.
Well, let me go ahead and tell you the other option. Amanda, here's the other option. It's called 2009 Lane Kiffin's class. And that class ended up with more felons than All-Americans. And that's not an exaggeration. More murderers than All-Americans. And that's not an exaggeration. Jansen Jackson was accused of killing his wife's boyfriend and stuffing him in the back of a trunk. You had a couple of other players that held up a pilot store. So you went with a really questionable character guys in hopes that, I don't know if Lane cared at the time, but in hopes that better character guys would offset them. Well, Amanda, we never saw if it was going to happen because Lane left. Maybe that contributed their demise, but I'd rather Tennessee build foundationally and organically than take these risky guys that the Alabamas and Georgias of the world aren't taking because of character questions.
Yeah, just like who's it? Urban Meyer at Florida with the whole Aaron Hernandez. That worked out real well for him.
Yeah, it's not as if Urban is afraid to take some questionable characters. That's absolutely
Well,
for
he's
sure.
a questionable character, so that makes sense.
Yes. Like and subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you'll get sneak peeks. We got some great football breakdown from Chris Landry, and we'll have players on there. Jacob Warren and Cooper Mays later in the week. Cooper's out in some African country, and I texted him. I said, "Hey, you said your Wi-Fi might not be good." And I said, it's like a mission trip. And I said, so are we going to be good to go for Monday afternoon? And the response was exactly, hey, big man, I'm in the brush. There's no such thing as Wi-Fi. Yeah. So we're gonna postpone that one to next week. And that'll be brought to you by City Heat and Air. For over 50 years, City Heating and Air Conditioning has provided East Tennesseans with honest, dependable heating and cooling services. So I'm just imagining Cooper Mays like defending giraffes against lions, like as an offensive lineman. Don't lions attack giraffes?
Yeah, only if there's not much else to eat. Normally they go after zebras, wildebeest, antelope, or the kudzu or whatever they're called. The only reason I know all this because I went to Africa last year and went on safari, and it was fantastic.
I'll tell you what,
I encourage everyone to go.
When it comes to those lions,
oh Lord, here we go.
They just need to calm down. They're just rude, killing animals. It's not the way to do it.
What? Are they going to go vegan? What are they going to eat?
Out there? You don't need to be out there killing. I mean, who steps up and says that, hey, we've got to protect the giraffes because the lions are killing them? Nobody. And that's part of the problem. We protect bald eagles. Why don't we protect giraffes?
Giraffes aren't endangered.
Well, they will be if the lions have anything to say about it.
They don't go after the giraffes because the giraffes swing their head down, and those like things that stick up on their head, they smack like lions or whoever. They'll swing.
Well, what are the lions killing?
I told you, zebras, wildebeest, kudzu.
Well, who's standing up for the zebras? We all should. They're both colors. I mean, why in the world wouldn't we stand up for zebras?
Well, the zebras have like a telltale sign of how they are not, if they're not healthy. Their tail will hang down the middle if it's healthy, but if it's not
really
healthy,
go to the side. Tell sign.
Exactly. Like I'm like, well, that sucks for you.
ELTAILTALE.
Got it. We all got it. Thank you. We got it.
Well, so we're going to do something about those lions. The Lion Protective Services maybe will be a new company we'll start. We'll protect animals from lions. Have a fantastic day, everyone. For Amanda and Ethan, I'm Dave Hooker. What do we got coming up on the side of the Off the Hook Sports, Ethan, today? I know we got a countdown. I'm going to write a little bit of don't get a tear in your beer over the Francis Mauigawa decision, because I think you pretty much encapsulated what I was going to write, and that was Tennessee still had a darn good weekend.
Yeah, they definitely did. We'll have a countdown, like you said. It'll be number 6, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. But yeah, number 6 today, and then we'll have sometime soon, maybe today, we'll be starting our team previews for who Tennessee football is going to be playing come September. Obviously, Ball State starting on September 1st. They moved it up Saturday to Thursday. I'm doing that again. Not sure how I feel about it, but it's the reality of the situation.
So you guys are so I'm out tomorrow with a medical procedure. I'm fine, but so are you guys going to rock it, or what's the plan? Amanda's like, I can get in and out of breaks. This is easy. This is nothing.
I'm down.
It's up to Amanda. Yeah, if she wants to, I'm down.
Interesting.
All right, let's do it.
Keys to the castle. Maybe she won't be at the pool like yesterday. Have a fantastic day, everyone. For Amanda and Ethan, I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.